including, but not limited to, talking about Friday's quiz. That's going to keep you awake. It's going to keep you around. Let's talk a bit about Friday's quiz. Well, we will this afternoon. Talk a little bit about Friday's quiz, because my theory in life is that I don't want you ever, well, let me put it another way. I don't think you should ever have to walk into an exam or a quiz not knowing what's expected of you. You shouldn't be guessing what it is that you are supposed to do when you get into your quiz. You should be knowing exactly what's going to be expected of you. And so we'll make sure you know exactly what's going to be expected of you this afternoon, so that you are set for ready to prepare yourself for the fun of Friday. But this afternoon, there's a couple of other things we've got to do before we get to that. Now, when we first learned our present active indicative verb, when we learned our luo paradigm, luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen, we also looked at phileo, right? And we learned alongside our luo paradigm, luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen, we learned our phileo paradigm, philo, philais, philai, philumen, philaite, philusen, right? Okay, we did that and we learned that, and that was all good and well. But we also learned these EO rules, right? Don't need to write them down. You've got them down pat. We've learned those EO rules, and we saw today that they're still in play, right? Tricked a few of you when we tried to do oikodomeo, right? But these EO rules are still in play. So if I wanted to do the present active indicative, I could take those rules and I can apply it to phileo. And we did this the other day, last Thursday, when we rocked through it, and we realized that our present paradigm would be luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. And if I take the EO rules and I use them, then I can create my phileo paradigm as well, right? Philo, philais, philai, philumen, philaite, philusen, right? That's what we did the other day. But let's just pause for a second and let's just think about what that might look like for, well, okay, let's just get straight into it. Don't even pause, because there's just there. For the indicative, for the imperfect verb, right? So the imperfect active indicative, eluon, if I apply my EO rules, then it's going to be efiloon. It's not going to be on anymore, it's going to be oon. And if it's elus, and I apply my EO rules to that, e plus e gives me I, it's going to be ephilais. And if it's eluen, ephilen. Now don't worry about writing this down. I wouldn't worry about writing this all down, right? Because this is where we're heading here, right? Ephilai, I can get it. Eluen, it's going to be ephilai. Now look at this. This. I need a pointer. I can't reach up there. It's too far away. Do you notice something different happened here? Almost. Eluen, FL, well, I'd expect it to be FL line, right? But the nu is dropped off. We'll come back to that in a second. Eluomen, ephilumen, eluete, ephilaite, eluon, eluun, right? Okay, so I could take my EO rules that I know well, and I could apply them to the imperfect paradigm that we just learned as well, right? Okay? But what would happen if I tried to apply my EO rules to my future paradigm? Now I hurt my other shoulder trying to jump up there. Okay, what would happen if I tried to apply my EO rules to the future paradigm? What does that sigma do against that e in my EO verb? And the answer is, we need to add a rule to our EO verbs, EO verb rules, right? Okay, these are the rules we had the other day. We just need to add one more rule to the EO rule verbs so that we know what to do with our sigmas or our aorist, for our future and our aorist with the sigma. And that is epsilon plus sigma in our EO rules now. Remember, we're talking about at the end of the verb now. This isn't the augment at the front. This is the end of the verb if the stem ends in an epsilon, right? If we've got that EO verb kind of thing going on. If I add the sigma there, epsilon plus sigma, what happens is that the epsilon lengthens. The epsilon lengthens. That's our new rule for the EO verbs. The other rules you've had before, don't worry, write them all down. But now we're adding another rule in there. Epsilon plus sigma gives you lengthen, eta sigma. So if I go back and I wanted to do the future, for instance, it would be filet-so. Filet-size. Filet-si. Right? The endings are all going to be exactly the same because that sigma protects the vowels from bashing up against each other. Right? Because the sigmas kind of act as a barrier there between the vowels, so that's no problem. But what it's going to do is it's going to lengthen that eta of phileo. Yeah? It's going to lengthen that eta of phileo. And it's going to lengthen the eta exactly the same as it would for the aorist as well, right? So it's going to be ephilesa, because this rule, sigma, plus up against that epsilon, lengthens that epsilon. So it's ephilesa, ephilesas, ephilesen. Eden, you look confused. Hey? Oops, that should be aorist. Sorry. That's because that one says future. I didn't change it. Sorry, that one should say aorist. Need to fix that on the slide. Let me get rid of it before I confuse anyone. But, well, no, we'll come back to that in a second. But the reality is, we've got this massive, big, long table here, right? Okay? It's now got 4 columns to it. And it was okay when we were getting our head around stuff and just trying to figure it out to learn our luo paradigm and then to learn our phileo paradigm as well. But now that we've got like 4 columns, I don't want you guys to have to learn another 4 columns for your phileo paradigm. That would be painful, right? And I don't want to do that. I'm not here to make your life hard. Despite what you think, right? I'm not here to make your life hard. I'm actually here to try and make it as easy as possible for you. So we want to learn our luo paradigm. I don't want you to have to learn a whole phileo table as well alongside our luo table because, by the way, this ain't finished, right? It's going to get bigger, okay? But so we don't want to have to learn 2 of those. That's just painful, right? We only want to learn 1 of them, but we can get away with learning 1 of them and the EO rules. Because if I know that, luo, and I know the EO rules, then I can apply the EO rules across the whole table, and I could form whatever I wanted to do with phileo for that whole table, yeah? So if I've got that table and the EO rules, then I'm sweet. Do you see how that works? So I don't want you to have to learn a whole nother big table like that for the phileo verbs. That's just too painful. To save you from doing that, we're going to learn that table and that table only, luo only, and those few little EO rules. That's all we need to know. We've got that, we've got everything. Okay, you with me? Let's not learn a whole nother table just for phileo. That would be painful. Okay, now, as I said, that little neuter disappeared. That little nu disappeared. So what I want you to do is I want you to turn to page 76. 76. Clickety click. No, 76, yeah. 76. No, I want you to turn to page 70. And I need to find my glasses so I can see the numbers. Page 70. There we go. That's a bit easier to see. Page 70. Okay, at the top of page 70 there, you've got Duff's table that looks a little bit like my table, right? Okay? He's got a little dash to tell you that he's done what he can to separate the the stem and the endings for you and to show the endings and stuff like that, right? And the sigma, I would have put the sigmas together with that, but that's all right. Okay, he's got a little thing. But here's the game we play, right? Kiddies, my boys love these. Spot the difference games, right? What's the difference between this picture and this picture? And there's there's only 3 branches on the tree on that picture, and there's 2 branches on the tree on that picture. You've got to spot the difference, right? Okay, so we're playing spot the difference. What's the difference between Duff's table, apart from those dashes separating the stem from the endings? Oh, I should have just left that. You could tell me that, but that's insignificant. What are the other differences? What are the difference between Duff's table and our table? Play spot the difference. Nobody can see any differences between those 2 tables? Okay, so separated the endings out. Difference number 1. There's 2 other differences. There's what? Around what? Okay, so he's put some brackets around the news, yeah? At the end of, you can see, present, lusin, and future, lususin, and imperfect, lun, and aorist, lusen, and not lusen, just lusen, yeah? Okay, you can see he's put little brackets around the news there. Okay, that's Duff's way of trying to say to you guys, hey, you know what? Sometimes, just sometimes, no rhyme or reason, sometimes Greek writers get lazy and they'll just write the verb and leave the nu off the end, right? Sometimes that can happen. Now, I haven't done that for you because I want you to learn the form and I want you to realize this is what it looks like and this is what it is, right? Okay? But be aware, on occasion, randomly, sometimes, a Greek author will just drop the nu off, right? Because you don't actually, it's not going to change the meaning of the word, right? But sometimes they drop the nu off the end there, okay? That's Duff's way of telling you that can happen. So I want you to learn it like this. I don't want you to learn it like that. I want you to learn it like this because 99% of the time it is like this. But there are occasions there is possible for them to drop the nu off. So we looked at the imperfect for the o verbs. For whatever reason, the imperfect of the o verbs, third person singular, always drops the nu off. That's why I dropped it off on my table. But not a big deal, right? Sometimes we can have the nu at the end there. Sometimes, occasionally, rarely, it gets dropped off the end, right? What else is different? That's 2 differences. There's one more difference. Spot the difference between these 2 tables. Yes? What's the order in Duff? What's the order up here? Okay, can you see that? The order's changed. The reason why is because I love you a lot more than Duff loves you, right? That's the reason why. Trust me, this will come back to haunt Duff later. This is not a good idea. I can see why he's done it. I know why he's done it. Because you got present and then you got future. Let's just put them right next to each other. You just need to put the sigma in there. But actually, in the end, in the long run, that's going to cause him and you lots of trouble if you go down that road. Trust me. You just have to trust me now. You'll see why later. I'll explain it. I'll point it out to you why later. Later as in April or May or something like that, right? But trust me, learning it in this order is a much better thing for you to do. This is not a good way to learn it. Duff's he's digging a hole here that's going to end up hurting him later, okay? All right? We don't want to be hurt, so we're going to go present, imperfect, future, aorist. That's the way we're going to learn it, okay? That's what your table is. You're going to practice that. You're going to get it into your head, and that's going to be a much better way to learn it going forward. Let's not fall down Duff's holes. Okay. So we're not going to learn a whole separate table for our EO verbs. We're just going to learn this table and our EO rules with our new EO rule in it that we need to have EO plus, the epsilon plus the sigma is going to give you that lengthened eta sigma. And then we can come up with the whole table ourselves, yeah? Okay, cool. One last thing that we want to have a look at this afternoon. It's a little bit confusing, so I'm going to take it nice and slowly. The other day, on Monday, we met compound verbs. Remember compound verbs? Preposition plus a verb gives you a compound verb, right? And I said to you at the time, while the meaning of the verb, the compound verb, doesn't just naturally come from the meaning of the preposition and then the meaning of the verb, put it together, you got the meaning of the compound verb, right? It doesn't work like that. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't work like that, right? So you're kind of asking yourself the question, well, thanks, Steve, this is great. If the meaning's completely different, why did we even bother learning that this was a compound verb? Why can't we just learn it as a new vocab, right? And that was what we kind of were talking about on Monday. And I said, this is going to be really important in a couple of days' time, right? Well, a couple of days' time is now, right? Why we need to learn that it's a compound verb, why we need to remember that it's a compound verb comes to roost right now, right? This is where it actually gets really important. So let's take it nice and slowly and let's try to figure this out. Because if I had apaluo, for instance, apaluo, it's a compound verb. You learned that the other day. It means apaluo means I set free, I divorce, right? Okay. It's a compound verb. Now, if I wanted to put that in the future tense, I'd have no problems, right? What would I do? I just add a sigma, don't I? Yeah? That's what I do. So apaluo, apaluso. No problems, right? I will divorce. No, you won't. No, you won't. Ever. Marriage is for life. What God's joined together, let no one separate. Apaluo, apaluso. Okay, all right, that's fine. No problems. But let's go back here and let's think for a second. If I wanted to put that in the imperfect tense, then what would I have to do? Got to put it in the imperfect tense. Got to change the endings at the end to the imperfect endings. Remember, imperfect, eluon. Okay? So I've got to change the endings and I've got to put the augment in. So you'd think that apaluo in the imperfect would be add the augment, change the ending, gives me, what was our rules before? Epaluon or something like that, right? That's what you would think right now. And you'd be right to think that right now. And I'd understand you thinking like that right now, but it'd be wrong. Can I have an audible groan, please? Because I know you're all feeling it, so let's just actually get it out there, right? That would be wrong. That would be mistaken. Because we've got to put an augment in there. And where does the augment go? Well, we've been talking about this. Where do you put the augment in the verb? You want to form an imperfect verb? You put the augment at the front, right? You put the augment at the front, and that is right. The problem is, where does this pesky augment go, right? We naturally think we want to put it at the front, but when it comes to the compound verb, the front isn't the front. We want to put it at the front of the verb bit, because it's a compound verb. The augment doesn't go at the very front. The augment goes in the front of the verb part, not the preposition part, when it comes to a compound verb. So let's try and take this nice and slowly, and let's work through a few examples here. So how would I form the imperfect form of apaluo? Well, this is what I would do, right? Mental steps in your head. You don't have to, but in your head, this is what you do. Separate the preposition from the verb bit, just in your head. I know it's a compound verb. I know I'm doing it on the screen here, but I'm just trying to help you think through it. It's a compound verb. So let's get rid of the preposition bit for the moment, move it away, separate it from the verb. Then I can put my augment where it's supposed to be. Augment goes in front of the verb bit. Yeah? Augment does go out the front, but when it's a compound verb, the front isn't the front anymore. Right? The front's kind of in the middle somewhere. Right? It's at the front of the verb bit. And I change my ending to the imperfect ending. You with me so far? I've taken the preposition bit apart. I've shoved the augment there at the front where it's supposed to be, the front of the verb, and I've changed the ending to the imperfect ending. But now look what just happened. Before I had apo followed by luo. Okay, that was all good, right? But now I've got apo followed by a word that begins with a vowel. Now, what happened to our prepositions on Monday when we had preposition followed by a word that begins with a vowel? Remember what happened? Elision. Elision happened. Yeah? Remember that? We shorten everything because it's just an easier way to talk. And so now I've separated my preposition bit from my vowel. I've shoved from my verb. I've shoved my augment in there. Now I need to apply the rules of elision because it changed things. Because now it begins with a vowel because I shoved the vowel in there. Yeah? Now the rules for elision say that apo followed by a word that begins with a vowel becomes just ap, right? It's going to drop its last vowel. So apply the rules of elision. Yeah? We drop the vowel off. That's what elision said was going to happen. Then I'm in a position to put it all back together and I would find my imperfect form of apoluo. It's actually apeluon. Now these words are starting to hide pretty well, yeah? Apeluon would be the imperfect form of apoluo because when I want to shove my augment onto a compound verb, the augment actually goes in between the verb and the preposition. It goes at the front of the verb, not the front of the whole word. See how that works? Should we do another one? Let's do another one. Take it nice and slowly. Ekballo. By the way, I put ekballo into your vocab test, and a lot of you wrote I throw. Something like that. No, it's not I throw, it's not ballo, it's ekballo. I throw out, I cast out. But anyway, ekballo. Imagine that I wanted to write that in the imperfect form. You want to have a think about it for a second and try and work it out yourself? What would ekballo be in the imperfect form? Go through those steps. Imagine them in your head. Sort of take the preposition out of the way, shove the augment in at the front, change the ending. Then you've got to apply the rules of elision. Then you can put it all back together again. Okay, so how do we go? This is what I'm going to do. In my mind, I'm going to separate the preposition bit from the verb bit. All right? I'm going to do it up on the screen here for you, but I'm going to, in my mind, just do that. Then I'm going to shove the augment where it belongs, at the front of the verb bit. And I'm going to change the endings to my imperfect ending. Now, though, I need to apply the rules of elision. Because now my preposition is followed by a word that begins with a vowel, whereas before it wasn't. And elision says that ek, followed by a word that begins with a vowel, changes to what? What does ek change to when you look at the rules of elision? X. Yeah? If you can't figure it out, have a look at page 48 of your DUF. Rules of elision are there at the top of page 48 of DUF, right? So ek goes to X, rules of elision. Now I can put my verb back together, and my imperfect form of ekballo is actually exebalon. Yeah? Exebalon would be the imperfect form of ekballo. You're seeing how this works, yeah? Those rules of elision that we got the other day are coming into play, and augment rules are coming into play. Let's do another one where that might be the case. So let's have a look at hoopago. What would be the imperfect active indicative form of hoopago? First person singular. We're just doing that for the moment. You can change the endings if you want to go down the paradigm, but got my compound verb, hoopago, but I want to change that into its imperfect form. Hoopago. Okay, what am I going to do? Got to try and make this into the imperfect form. So, mentally in my mind, first thing I'm going to do, separate the preposition bit from the verb bit. Okay? Separate the preposition-y bit. Oopsies, wrong way. From the verb bit. Oh, shame. Are they all out of order now as well?
No, it's fine. It's just...
Separate the preposition-y bit from the verb bit. First step. Okay, second step. I've got to throw in my augment and I've got to change my endings. Right? Throw in my augment, change my endings. But now that I've thrown the augment in there for a word that begins with an alpha, go back to our augment rules. What happens when we chuck an augment in the front of a verb that begins with an alpha? We get a long air. We get eta. Yeah? We've changed our endings. So upe, gone, it's going to be. Now, we've got to think about elision rules. Do we have any elision that we need to worry about here? Not really this time because it's already happened. Because hoop-ago already was followed by a verb that began with a vowel. So the elision's already happened. It wasn't hoopo-ago, it was just hoop-ago. So the elision's already happened. We've got no problems there. We can put it back together and it would be hoop-agon. Right? Would be the imperfect form of hoop-ago. Seeing how this is working? It's coming together for us.
So, have it been the full word full, for instance, then that's when we have come up with the 5.
Say again?
Remember when we're doing the Elision Rules?
Yep.
That was the whole rough breathing rule.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, but the breathing's not an issue here in the middle, is it? Because it's in the middle of a word. Actually, the front of the word still is actually hoop, yeah? So we're not going to have the end of the preposition here. Well, yeah, we're not going to have the end of the preposition here meeting up with a rough breathing in the middle of a word, because the breathing's still out actually here, right? Because when it comes to the breathing, this is the front of the word, yeah? But when it comes to the augment, the front actually is in the front of the verb bit, not the front of the word bit. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay. We've got another one? Do one more. Let's do one more. Sun ago. Sun ago this time. Not hoop ago. Sun ago. Okay, sunage. Gonna separate the preposition bit from the verb bit. Then I'm going to throw my augment in where it belongs, at the front of the verb, and change my ending. But then again, now I've got augment plus alpha. When I put the augment out the front of a verb that begins with alpha, then I get the lengthening going on again. So that needs to change. I'm going to fix that up, the lengthening. Now, elision rules happen. How does sun elide? What are the elision rules for sun? There are no elision rules for sun, right? Sun doesn't have elision, and that's why it's sun go. So that's fine. We can put that back together. And we've got sun gone is going to be the imperfect active indicative form of sunago. Okay, seeing how this is working here, right? Trick is that the augment goes at the front of the verb part, not at the front of the word, just at the front of the verb part. So yeah, we're asking that question, what's the vocab word hiding behind this? And I'm saying to you, hey, you come across sunergon out in the wild, and I say, does it look like it's got an augment? And automatically you go, no, it doesn't look like it's got an augment. I can see out the front there, it's sun, right? It's not sun or anything like that, right? It doesn't look like it's got an augment at all. But I'm like, aha, hang on. Slow down, everybody. It does have an augment, yeah? It's there in the middle because it's a compound verb. And it's been lengthened in the middle of the verb where the verb part is, yeah? So that's why this can be a little bit tricky. But hopefully, we've got it, you've understood, we've gone slowly enough, you've figured it out. This is the way it's going to work. Now again, as I said, our job's not to write Greek so much as it's to read Greek and to recognize that, right? So these are things we need to be aware of so that when we're out in the wild, we're not going to get tricked by this. We're going to figure this out. That's our goal, right? Okay? All right. Any questions about compound? I could do the same with like aorist as well, right? It'd be the same thing. If we're going to put an augment for the aorist, we're going to have the same problem, okay? I just did imperfect ones. But any questions about compound verbs in the imperfect or the aorist tense form and what they're going to look like and how that works? Does it make sense for everybody? We're all happy. We're all hot and we're all tired and we're all wondering what you're going to do for us. And we're all thinking about what the quiz is going to be like. Okay. So you want me to say that's enough for today? Yes, please say that, Steve. Please say that. Okay, then. End of slideshow. All right, okay? That's enough for today. All right, we're done. Except for talking about what you want to do tonight and talking about your quiz on Friday. So, what I've got for you here is I've got your new verb paradigm sheets. All right? New updated verb paradigm sheets. Throw the old ones out, they're useless to you, right? This is what you need to know now. Now it's got 4 columns. Present, imperfect, future, aorist. You need to practice them and write them down. And it's got all your rules for verb formation down here, right? And so you can practice. What are the EO rules going to be? What's going to happen? What's my augment rules? What's my sigma rules, right? How are they all going to work, okay? They're there for you as well. Practice, practice, practice. And then underneath, you can practice your Amy verb, okay? So all you've learnt about verbs are on one page at the moment, right? That's what you need to know, okay? On the back of it, you've got the answers, right? Just to make sure you're practicing the right thing, okay? So I'm going to put these at the back on the chair. You can take one on the way home. I will put these, if you haven't figured it out yet, these are all up on Google Classroom in the Paradigms folder, so I'll update that. The PowerPoint slides are all there every day, updated for you as well. There's no homework sheet for tonight, because I figure you got enough to learn, right? You got enough to get your head around with all those new paradigms. Okay, now, Friday's quiz. Let me sanitize so I can hand out safely. Friday's quiz. Let's talk about Friday's quiz so that you know exactly what you're going to do. So what you're about to get is a blank copy of the quiz. It's got no questions on it, but it will show you exactly what is expected of you, exactly what format the quiz is going to be in, what sort of questions you're going to be asked, and what you're going to be asked to do. Oops, sorry. Okay, so let's go through it. And I want you to ask any questions because I don't want anybody turning up on Friday and getting a surprise. So I want you to know exactly what it is that I'm going to be asking you on Friday. So question number 1. Firstly, notice a couple of things. Put your student number on the paper. Okay, vocab test, that's fine. You can put your name on it, but this is like kind of proper now. This is worth like 20%. This is like a quiz. So we put our student numbers on it. Nothing that identifies who we are, right? Okay? It's always the way it's going to be whenever you hand in any assignments, major assignments, or whenever you do any exams here at college. Student number, nothing else, okay? So put your student number on it. If you don't know what your student number is yet, you better figure it out before Friday, all right? And you have to learn that too. Wow, okay. All right, student number. Time allowed, 2 hours. I don't care. I really don't. I just said 2 hours there because I just put it up there, but I really don't mind. I will sit here, and if you want to stay here for 2.5 hours or 3 hours to do your quiz, it's fine, right? Okay? Don't stress about the time. I suspect that 2 hours will be plenty. And there'll be people in this room who walk out, finish, and walk out in 40 minutes or an hour's time. And there'll be people in this room who will take 2 hours. But I suspect there'll be very few people in this room for whom more than 2 hours will make any difference. Because if you don't know it, you don't know it. Greek won't give you anything for free. You can sit here for as long as you want. It's not going to make any difference if you don't know it, right? Okay? So 2 hours should be plenty of time. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to set a clock. I'm not going to say, no, pen's down, stop now. I want you to just do your best. If that means 2.5 hours, whatever, it's fine. It doesn't bother me, okay? All right, now, question number 1. So, question number 1 says, arrange the following words in alphabetical order. Okay, so you know what's going to happen? Just like that practice question on day 1 of the thing. I will give you 5 words down the side here, and then you're going to rearrange those words over here in the right order so that the one with the highest letter in the alphabet comes first, and then the second one, and then the third one, right? Like you'd look them up in a dictionary. What order are they in? Everybody with me? You're not rearranging the letters in a word. You're not doing that. You're rearranging the words so that the first one comes first and the second one, alphabetical order, right? Just to give you a hint, it's just a tip, you can take it or leave it, but you won't be able to answer that question if you don't know the alphabet. Just give me the heads up, right? You don't know the order of the alphabet, you're not going to be able to answer that question, okay? All right? Simple. Alphabetical order. Question 2, easy. Give the Duff vocab for the following words, right? It's just like your vocab test we're just doing. It will be 10. 1 mark each. That's worth 5 marks, yeah, for the alphabet one. Duff vocab, 10 vocab questions, 1 mark each, 10 marks, easy peasy. All right? Get it right, get it wrong, it's up to you. Okay, question 3. Over the page. Aha! Preposition practice. All right? Preposition practice. So I'm going to give you a little table here. The preposition plus the case equals a meaning, right? But I'll leave one of those out on each of those lines. So, for instance, in the first line, perhaps, I might give you the preposition plus, and then I'll leave blank the case, and then I'll say equals the meaning. And you're supposed to tell me what case would go with that preposition to give you that meaning, for example. Does someone want to give me an example? Because this is what happens. If I give an example, then you all sit there and you go, oh, he gave us that example in class. That won't be in the quiz. That definitely won't be, because otherwise he wouldn't have given it to us. But then you start second guessing though and go, no, but hang on, maybe he just did that so that I wouldn't study it. So I don't give examples, but I'm happy for you to give an example. You want to give me an example of what that question might look like? Someone give me an example. Yeah. John, look. Dear plus blank equals through, right? Maybe that'll be the first question. And if the question was dear plus blank equals through, what would you write for blank? Dear plus the genitive equals through, right? So you'd write genitive there. Okay? You get how this works? There'll be 5 questions like that. I was going to write them up on the board, but I don't think I need to. There'll be 5 questions like that. Prepositions, right? All the prepositions. You need to know the meaning of your prepositions, what preposition goes with what case to give you what meaning. Sometimes I might just give you the case and the meaning. You need to give me the preposition. Sometimes I'll give you the preposition and the case. You need to give me the meaning. Right? Okay? You've got to figure that table out, right? All about your prepositions. Nice and easy. Okay, next one. Decline in, that's worth 5 marks. Prepositions, 5 marks. Next one, decline in full. There'll be 2, notice this, A and B. There'll be 2, right? 2 different ones for you to work on. Decline in full, and I'm going to give you an article and a noun. So for instance, hypothetically speaking, if I was to give you decline in full, logos, then I'd be very nice, for starters, right? Okay? And I am nice, but I mightn't be that nice, right? Mightn't be that nice. I'm nice, but I'm not silly, right? Okay? If I said decline in full logos, then your job is to write out the full declension for the article and the noun, yeah? So this would be, you'd write out logos. Just give you the tip, the nominative singular one is the nominative singular one, right? So you've got the first one given to you already. So you write out logos, then you write out ton, logon, and you write out to, logu, and you write out to, logo, logo, and you write out hoi, and you wouldn't forget your breathing marks. You definitely wouldn't do that. Logoi, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth, right? Okay, you with me? I might give you a feminine one, I might give you a neuter one, I might give you whatever you want, but you've got to try and figure it out. So you need to know your paradigms for your article, you need to know your paradigms for your nouns, you need to be able to look at a noun and know which one, where it belongs and how it's going to behave, right? Okay, you with me? That's what you're going to do in question number 4. There's going to be 2 of them. 2 of them. All up, that's going to be worth 10 marks. Everybody clear about what we're going to do in that question? Okay, question number 5. Conjugate in full the following. Okay, so this is the opposite. This is for verbs now, right? So in this one, I'm going to ask you, please give me the, well, everything we've looked at the moment is active and indicative, so that's nice and easy, right? But please give me the, could be present, could be future, could be aorist, could be imperfect, right? They're the things we've learned, different tenses. So one of those, give me the, I could say, give me the present, active, indicative paradigm of luo. I'm not going to be that stupid, right? But I could do that, right? This is the kind of example. And then you write down as an answer, luo, luais, luai, luomen, luete, luusen. That would be your answer, right? Okay? Or I might change that and I might say, let's be a little bit trickier. Let's give them the imperfect. And then you'd write down what the imperfect one is, right? Or whatever it is. Or I might ask you to give me the imperfect active indicative of like, oh, I don't know. I want to give you examples. Whatever. Like, I'm going to something, right? Okay? You with me? You know what you're going to do with that question? Okay? There are 2 of those as well. Question A and question B. There'll be 2 different ones of those, yeah? Everybody okay with what's expected here? Ask questions if it doesn't make sense to you, because the whole point here is that you know exactly what is to be expected when you come into the quiz on Friday. The paper will look exactly like this, just with questions on it. Okay. Parse the following verbs. You know what that means? It means talk to me about this verb in the way I like to be spoken to about verbs, right? Okay? So there'll be a list of verbs down there. You've done this already in the practice homework. It's the sort of thing we're going to be doing. There'll be a list of different verbs down there. And you're going to tell me what tense, what voice, what mood, what person, what number it is. Yeah. Yes, I'll leave that there. This will look exactly like what you've got in your exam, yeah. Okay? Two things worth noticing here. First tip. We haven't looked at anything that's not an active voice. And we haven't looked at anything that's not an indicative mood. Okay? He who has an ear, let them hear, right? Okay? Everything we've looked at so far is active and indicative, okay? Firstly. Secondly, when it comes to the end, Greek and English vocab words, again, let me just remind you, what you're supposed to put for me there is what's the vocab word hiding behind this word, right? I don't want you to translate it. Give me the vocab word. So if I, for instance, had something nice and simple like luis, right? Then you'd say that it's the present active indicative, luo, luis, second person, singular form of luo, which means I untie. Right? That's what you'd write. Okay? You wouldn't write, oh, it's the present active indicative, second person singular form of luo, therefore it's the present active indicative. You wouldn't write you untie or anything like that. No, you wouldn't do that. I just want the vocab word. Right? That's what you're supposed to give me here, the vocab word. Right? What it means, exactly what's written on your vocab card. Okay? The vocab word in Greek and the vocab word in English. Yeah? What you got on the other side. Okay, so you know what to do? Any questions about question, what number are we up to? 6? Nope. 10 marks for parsing verbs in question 6. Question 7. Okay, now we did some of these the other day in class as well, right? In your homework. These lexicon entries, right? So it's basically taking the nouns now, and it's basically you telling me you know exactly where that noun belongs on the table. Right? And the way you do that, well, I've given you an example here even, right? Every single one of these words, there'll be words down the list here, boom, 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 and you're supposed to give me 3 pieces of information. It says it here. It'll all be spelled out for you, exactly the same. Give the lexicon dictionary entry under which you would find. Remember, the lexicon entry is the nominative singular form, the genitive ending, and the article that it takes. I.e. masculine, feminine, or neuter. Okay? So, for instance, if I had log on, then the answer to log on, got it here as an example, but the answer to log on would be, well, the vocab word, the nominative singular form, logos, right? And then you need to give me the genitive ending. Logos, logon, logu. The genitive ending is oo. Yeah? Then you need to give me the article it takes. Logos. Is it masculine or feminine or neuter? It's masculine, so it takes ho, the masculine article. Okay? 3 pieces of information for each one of those words. The vocab word, the nominative singular form, the genitive ending that word takes. Remember, there's different ones depending on whether it's masculine or neuter or feminine, or which feminine it is. And then whether it takes the masculine article, the feminine article, whether it's neuter. Okay? Let me just clarify for this. This article part, this bit, only has 3 options. It's either masculine, in which case you should put down ho, or it's feminine, in which case you're going to put down he, or it's neuter, in which case you're going to put down to. That's all you're going to write for the third part. They're your options. Ho, he, or to. Is it masculine? Is it feminine? Is it neuter? If it's masculine, give me ho. If it's feminine, give me he. If it's neuter, give me to. I don't want to see over here ton, or tu, or tes. It happens every year. I'm like, what? No! What happened? No! No. Be the first year not to do this. Just give me one of this. Masculine, feminine, or neuter. That's what I'm asking you. Is this a masculine noun? Yes. Okay, well, give me the masculine article to tell me that you know it's a masculine noun. Or give me the feminine article, or give me the neuter article, depending on which one it is. Okay? Everybody happy with question 7? That's the question that's the one that seems to trick people the most. So ask your questions if it's not clear. Yeah. Because the question is, why the genitive? Why the nominative singular, the genitive, and the article? Why those three pieces of information? Okay, remember back to that table that I had up there? Every Greek noun fits somewhere on this table. And we had it divided, masculine, feminine, first declension, second declension. There's 9 little groups there and everything like that, yeah? The reason why is because every one of those boxes on that table has a different combination of those three things. Every one of those boxes has a different combination of those three things. This is different, that's different, that's different, for each one of those 9 boxes. So if you give me those 3 pieces of information, then I know exactly which box it belongs in. That's why. That's why they do it. And it's the genitive ending that's the one that's specific, that gets those 3, that separates them all. Yeah? That's why it does it. Make sense? Okay, everyone knows what's expected of them in that question. Question 7. Okay. Question 8. What case would the underlined words be in Greek? Now, you did a bit of this in your practice homework last night. You've seen this kind of question. It'll be an English sentence. I'm not trying to translate it, but I'll underline a word in that English sentence, and you've got to think, okay, if that was in a Greek sentence, what role is that word playing in this sentence? Okay, cool. So if I had Steve threw a ball to Derek, and I underlined Steve, then what would your answer be for that? Nominative, right? Okay, because you're telling me that you know that Steve's the subject of that sentence, and subjects are in the nominative case in Greek, right? You see how that works? There'll be 5 of those, 1 mark each. Just tell me what case it would be if it was in Greek. Make sense? Okay, and then question 9. Translate the following into proper contemporary English. There'll be 2 bits of translation. All right? 2, 10 marks each. 2 chunks of translation there. Just translate it for me.
How are the marks broken up since there's 10 marks for translating them?
10 marks for both of them, right? To each sentence. And it'll be broken up as I see fit. Look, I'm generally a pretty generous marker. I'm trying to find marks for you. I'm your friend here, right? I want to help you guys. I want to find marks. There are people I know, who shall remain nameless, who will say, you've got like a big thing to translate, like 4 or 5 lines or something. The translation here won't be that long. But 4 or 5 lines, and they'll just say, everything you do wrong, you lose half a mark for. Every mistake I find, you'll just lose half a mark. Boom, 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 boom. So you can translate 4 or 5 lines, get like half of it right, and still get 2 out of 10 for it. I'm like, that seems cruel to me, right? That's unfair, right? I don't want to do that. I want to try and give you marks. So if I look at what you've done and like 80% of it's right, then you'll get 8 out of 10. Yeah? I'll just try and mark as fairly as I can. Yeah. Well, jeez, I don't know, Chesman. What do you think about that? I'm not going to answer that question now. Otherwise, no one's going to turn up tomorrow. No. We'll see. We'll see on that. I don't know about that. It depends how nice you think I am. Okay, now, please don't leave it blank. If you give me nothing, then I can give you nothing. Can't give you any marks if you leave it blank, right? I know some of you come from this situation and you've got this cultural kind of breakdown and pressures and stuff like that. You think, oh no, it would be dishonest and dishonourable for me to just guess. Because if I don't know the answer, I should just leave it blank. No, throw that out and guess, right? Give me something. Just try. Give me your best effort. It might be wrong, that's fine. But don't give me nothing, particularly when it comes to the translation. Give me everything you can in the translation. I don't care if you can figure it out. Scribble over your translation. I want to see underlines. I want to see brackets. I want to see things being divided. I want you to scribble and say present, active, indicative, third person singular on top of your verb and stuff like that. I want you to scribble all over it so that I know what's going on. And if you do that, then I can maybe give you some marks. But if you don't do that at all and you just write down a translation that's completely wrong, I'm like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? I can't give you anything, right? Okay? So just help me help you, right? Okay? Give me everything you got. Don't leave stuff blank. Give me everything you got. Okay, any other questions about Friday's quiz? Okay, so what should you be doing tonight? Well, You've got new paradigms to practice, lots of them. Yeah? We've finished chapter 6. We've done everything on chapter 6 stuff. So, chapter 6 homework, chapter 6 chapter summary. Yeah? Do a chapter summary for chapter 6 as well, right? Got that done. Excellent. Vocab. Up to and including chapter 7 now, right? All right? Put another lot of vocab in tonight. You should be knowing all the vocab up to including chapter 7 as well, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All good to go, right? Tomorrow morning, vocab test that counts. You're like, oh, come on, Steve. I'm like, yeah, because Friday morning's vocab test counts for 20%, right? So you better be trying to get it into your head tomorrow for the 1%, right? Okay? It's my way of trying to help you. Vocab test that counts tomorrow morning, up to including chapter 7. Do everything you can to get everything in your head for Friday. That's what you should be doing. Eat, sleep, Greek. Just 2 more days. Just this afternoon, and then tomorrow afternoon, and then you can come here, write your quiz on Friday, and go to the beach and just ignore everything in the world, right? Okay? You're doing really well. I know it's intense, I know it's hard, but it's just 2 more days. 2 more days of eat, sleep, Greek, okay? And then you're almost there. Awesome. All right. If there's no questions, I'll see you tomorrow morning.